For this session, we have Miss Abhinaya. Miss Abhinaya Polaka is currently pursuing honors Bachelor of Science degree in Environmental Science and Chemical Engineering at SUNY College of Environmental Science and Forestry in upstate New York. Alongside her studies, she is actively engaged in her thesis research focused on utilizing waste plant fibers to produce 3D printed biocomposites for biomaterial applications. She is on track to graduate in December 2024 and plans to further her education by pursuing PhD in sustainable biomaterials and carbon capture technology. He's passionate about finding innovative solutions to environmental challenges and looks forward to making a meaningful impact in the field. To interact with Ms. Abhinaya, we have again Mr. Mohammad Rehan and Arnav Grover from TSRA 8th grade. Over to you both.
Namaste, ma'am. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. Um so we are very curious about your current degree program and what led you to choose environmental science and chemical engineering.
Hi, Arnav, and hi, Rehan. Hello to everybody present today. It is my pleasure to be with you all today, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and this platform to help educate students about green careers and sustainability. But going back to your question, as for my current degree program, I'm currently pursuing my Bachelor's of Science degree from the SUNY College of Environmental Science and Forestry, which is also known as ESF, here in New York State. And I chose environmental science because I I was born and brought up in India, and I lived in a boarding school all my life, so never really got to interact with the actual society until I was home for the summer break. And one summer after another, and then after another, I kept seeing the environment and the nature around me just deteriorating and disappearing. I saw animals suffering. I saw the beaches being piled up with trash and garbage and plastics. And that's when I thought, hey, you know what? I have to do something, or we have to have someone do something. And I soon realized that the politicians or the adults or the municipalities will not do much for the environment, or were not doing it at the time. So I decided to take it upon myself. And I started a non-for-profit when I was in middle school to protect the environment in my hometown. And from there, my curiosity for the environment around me just kept growing. And as I approached my college, I thought it would be a great start to my academic career to take up environmental science. And as for chemical engineering, as I started taking chemistry courses in college, I just fell in love with the subject and thought it would be great to kind of combine that with my passion for the environment. So that's how I'm doing what I'm doing today.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to the next question. Your research area on utilizing waste plant fibers for 3D printed biocomposites sounds new and interesting to us, but could you help us understand 3D printed biocomposites?
Of course. And one of my professors loves using this example of Lego blocks. So I'm kind of gonna steal his idea, but let's all think about Lego blocks because we love playing with Legos as kids, right? So now think of each Lego tile as a biocomposite. And the most beautiful part about this biocomposite is that they're made from natural products. And we're talking about biomass, we're talking about woody biomass, we're talking about paper, we're talking about wood, and so many other amazing natural products such as waste food. And my particular project that I'm working on right now, we take the waste fibers, the waste biomass fibers from the recycling facilities and convert them into biocomposites. So basically, when we look at the recycling facilities in the world, If we look at, for example, India, India recycles about 7 million tons of paper products annually, and about 20% of those go to waste as waste fibers. So if we're looking at a paper, right, and when we recycle it, because it's made from natural fibers, it can only be recycled an X amount of times. So after every recycling journey, the fibers in the plants get shorter and shorter and shorter. So it can only be recycled the next amount of times. And when it gets to the end point where it's not being able to be recycled anymore, it becomes a waste product. And if you're looking here in the US produces about 5 to 10 million tons of waste fibers annually. So we're kind of taking all of that waste product, mixing it up with a natural acid called polylactic acid, and we're making a biocomposite. And now we have our Lego tiles, right? And if you played with Lego tiles, you know that the possibilities of what you can make out of these Lego tiles, what you can construct out of them is endless. Similarly, what you can use biocomposites for is endless. You can use them to make prosthetic limbs, so medical uses. We can use them to make your plastic bottles, so plastics. We can use them in construction. So if you're building a home, you can use that for ceiling, you can use that for walls. We're looking at automotive industry, packaging material, aeroscience. So the uses are, I can just keep going on.
Thank you, ma'am. I learned that Lego blocks could be compared with biocomposites because of the endless innovations you can make with them. Moving on to the next question.
I'm out of the meeting already.
Since Arnav is experiencing technical difficulties, I'll take on the next question. Ma'am, how do you see your research contributing to the broader field of biomaterials and environmental sustainability?
Sure. My project is still ongoing, and I hope to write and publish my paper within the next couple of months. So once that is published, I am hoping that it will help aid other researchers like me to further their research. So for example, in my research, if I use 2 acids and 2 bases, and let's say the first set of acids and bases worked, and the second set of acids and bases did not work. So another research, for example, you, Rehan, if you're taking up my project, you would go read up my paper and be like, hey, you know what? The first set worked. So let me take that and further my research. So maybe make it better. Maybe input another sample. Maybe produce another kind of product from those set of samples that I've used. Or maybe another researcher would maybe want to investigate why the second set of acids and bases did not work. So hopefully, I would love to see if I can help aid other researchers in that way. But in terms of helping aid the sustainability aspect of it, so what I'm making is a biocomposite, which would help eliminate a lot of petrochemical-based products. So hopefully, adding on to the amazing list of products that keep flowing into our societies. So hopefully it will help in that way.
Thank you, ma'am. I am sure your research will change the world. Moving on to the next question.
Ma'am, I'm back. I was facing some technical difficulties. So, ma'am, I'm curious about what challenges did you face during your research and how did you overcome them?
Right. So this entire project was a challenge in itself because this is my first ever solo research project that I took on. So everything from A to Z has been a challenge for me. Just walking into a lab and trying to figure out what acids to use, how much samples I should use, not turning off the equipment at the right time, how to use the equipment. So everything was new to me. And so every little thing was a challenge, but I think how I overcame that challenge is reading up on tons and tons of papers that are available in academia, and learning my way around the lab. So definitely doing background research. So why understanding my thesis subject thoroughly. So why is it that I'm working on this project? How is it going to help the society? What are the challenges? Has there been any past research done? So what did the past researchers do in their projects? What worked and what did not? So reading up on papers and familiarizing myself with the topic is definitely a way that I use to overcome this challenge, but also just using the really amazing support system I have at the lab, just professors and other graduate students. So just walking up to them and asking them to teach me how to use an equipment. So yeah, definitely reading up on papers and using every resource possible that's around me.
Oh, ma'am, that's very inspiring. But how you said that your entire research was a challenge, it reminds me of the quote from Thomas Edison that I did not 10,000 times, I found 10,000 ways it won't work.
Definitely agree. I keep failing and failing and failing, but hey, maybe 1 out of the 10 experiments works, and it's still a good thing.
Thank you, ma'am. Now over to Rehan.
Ma'am, could you share with us a moment during your studies or research that was particularly rewarding or impactful to you?
Yes. Before I took up this project at my university, I actually worked at West Virginia University as a research scholar. So I worked on the USDA NIFA funded project, which is the US Department of Agriculture and National Institute of Food and Agriculture. And I worked for the project known as MassBio, which is the Mid-Atlantic Sustainable Biomass Consortium. So basically what I did was I researched the production of bioadhesives from a sample known as pine wood. And the aim of this project was, so basically what an adhesive is it's a glue-like structure. So let's say you're building the table that you're sitting on. So how are you piecing the different pieces of wood together using this glue-like structure? Now, what's the problem with the commercially available adhesives, you might ask? They're made from petrochemical based, so very bad for the environment in terms of its carbon intensity and other greenhouse gases that it releases in the process. But we're also talking about how the commercially made adhesives, they're made with sulfurs and formaldehydes, most of them. So sulfurs cause acid rains. So in terms of environmental effect, it has a drastic effect on the environment, right? But we're also talking about formaldehydes, which are really, really bad for the human as well as animal health. So we kind of took that aspect of the commercially available bioadhesives and we asked ourselves the question, so how can we make it better for both the health of the humans and other species, but also most importantly for the health of the environment? So that's how I came about working on this project. And it was very rewarding in a way that I was able to present this research at Penn State University, which I was very fortunate enough to win the first prize. So very impactful and rewarding in that way. And this project in itself helped me realize my love for working in the lab and my love for chemistry. So definitely very rewarding and impactful in that way.
Thank you, ma'am. I have learned how sulfurs can cause acid rains, and I'm sure you must have felt proud when you got first place in Penn University. But just a follow-up question, could you elaborate on what bioadhesives are?
Yes. So like I said, adhesive is a product that can be used to kind of glue together different products, right? But the problem with this commercially available adhesives is they're very bad for the environment, but also for the health of many species on this planet. So bioadhesive is making that similar structure that mimics the commercially available adhesive, but it's made from plants. It's made from natural products, such as leaves and components of biomass. For example, biomass consists of cellulose. It consists of hemicellulose, and it consists of a product called lignin. Hemicellulose and cellulose are amazing products because they're sugar-like structures. But lignin, on the other hand, is not as extensively studied because it's a very, very stubborn molecule and a compound, which is very hard to break down. But it's very abundant in nature. It is one of the most abundant biopolymer available in this planet. So we kind of we found a way to break down that lignin part of pine wood, and we use that to mimic the glue-like structure of the adhesives in the market.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing such an insightful lesson. Moving on to the next question.
Ma'am, could you please tell us about your career goals? What specific skills, experience, time at the university that will be valuable in achieving those goals?
Of course. I feel like I have dual personality. I love chemistry and I love working in a lab. Like you would just like put me in a lab and I would ask you for nothing. Like it gives me so much joy, just working with chemicals and seeing my product come to life. So definitely part of my career goal is to, go study at a graduate school and get that other degree and, help further my research and maybe invent more products in the future. That would be my absolute dream. But the other personality of me loves advocating. I love science communication. I want to take the science that I know and invent and want to bring it to the real people, want to bring it to the public, want to bring it to societies. Like I said, I used to run a non-for-profit, which I don't anymore because I'm away from home. But I would someday love to restart it. I want to work with people. I want to work with youth. I want to work with students like you to help you understand the dynamics of environmental problems, the dynamics of climate change. And I want to be able to fight climate change from the forefronts. And so that would be an absolute dream come true to make an impact from a day-to-day basis.
Thank you so much, ma'am. But I have a follow-up question. Do you have any tips or like any experiences, like something which can help me during my school life right now?
Of course. Like Miss Lee was saying, how do we get there, right? We might know what we want in the future, but like Miss Lee was saying, how do we get there? So find your passion and work towards your goals. It's definitely really, really good at this young age to know your passion. But I also want you to explore different kinds of things, as you get lots of experiences and as you're researching or taking up different opportunities at a young age, you get exposed to so many new things in so many different areas that, maybe now you're passionate about wildlife, which is amazing. But as you're taking up different opportunities, you might say, you know what, I love the life on land, but maybe life underwater seems really cool too. Maybe so you want to go become a marine biologist and not a wildlife scientist anymore. And I say that because as you're getting more and more and more experiences, it's good to do trial and error. Life is not always going to be one straight path, and that is okay. We all go through that. So as someone in middle school and high school right now, just have as many experiences as possible, go see everything that life has to offer. And you don't have to do one thing in life. You can wear so many different hats, and that's the beauty of it. So find what you're passionate about, but also work towards it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I will definitely implement it in my school life now.
Thank you, ma'am. What are the various career options in the field of green careers and sustainable development?
I love this question. So I'm going to ask you all a little favor. Look around you, in the room that you're sitting. Just look around your surroundings. So the screen that you're viewing me from, maybe it's an iMac, maybe it's an Apple laptop. Where are the metals that was used to make this laptop? Where did they come from? A lot of mining for those metals, right? So what are the impacts of metals? Where are the clothes that you're wearing from? Where did they come from? How are they manufactured? The paint on your walls, right? What goes into making paints? What are the kind of chemicals that go in them? The breakfast you ate this morning, what were the impacts of the breakfast you ate this morning? Every little thing, the table that you're sitting on, the water bottle you're drinking from, every little thing in your life has an impact on this planet. The cosmetics that you use, the skincare that you use, the makeup that you use, the water that you're drinking, the clothes that you're wearing, like every little thing that you do from the day you wake up, from the moment you wake up, from the moment you go to bed, everything has an impact on this planet. And that goes to this. The opportunities in green careers is endless. Let's say you love the animals. Maybe you want to go become a wildlife scientist. You love fish. You want to become a marine biologist. But you want to invent amazing green solutions. You want to make bioplastics. Go become an engineer. You love architecture. Go become a landscape architect. I don't know. There's so many opportunities. Maybe you're amazing at communicating. You love interacting with people. Go become a teacher. Go become an influencer in the 21st century. Everybody loves influencing, and there's so many out there, but go become a true influencer. Bring about the awareness. There's just endless. Maybe you love photography. You love playing around with your technology. Go become a filmmaker. You love writing. Go become an author. So I would just say that the possibilities are endless. You just have to find what interests you and what you're really good at and what will keep you going and will motivate you for the rest of your life. So, yes.
Thank you, ma'am. I will definitely reflect more on different objects around me that make me curious about how it was made. And over to the next question.
Yes. Ma'am, unfortunately, we had to cut down on the questions due to a time crunch, so we are now on the final question. For this, we'll have the rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So,
Did I miss the question?
What Arnav said is self-management is an important area of focus in the student advisory program. And we would love to know how you balance the demands of your coursework, research, and any other commitments you have. We would love to get some tips and strategies for ourselves.
I think this is a very important question, especially when it comes to time management and juggling different parts of your life. I definitely have a very demanding coursework ahead of me, but also juggling research. But apart from that, I also come with 3 other part-time jobs to help me, with my expenses. So definitely time management is something that I have to focus on from a day-to-day, lifestyle. But setting your priorities, and knowing when, set deadlines, your priorities, get things done as you receive them. I would love to say don't procrastinate, but I'm also not gonna say it because we know we all do it. But just knowing your boundaries and setting boundaries is very, very important. And learning to say no. For most part of my life, I've always been the person to please others. So I would take up as much as work and overburden myself and stress myself out. But I think it's come to a point where you have to learn to say no. And you need that balance in your life. You need academics, you need work, you need social life, but also your personal life. So just setting your priorities, knowing what your commitments are, setting deadlines, learning to say no. And it is okay, knowing that it's okay to take time for yourself and to heal and step away from everything if that's what you need to do.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure we will all remember these life skills.
yes, ma'am. Now, moving on to the rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
So, ma'am, first question. What is your favorite chemical engineering tool and why?
It probably has to be the 3D printer. It is super, super cool just watching it print layer by layer by layer. Very, very cool tool. And what you can create out of it is limitless, and possibilities are endless, right? So if you ever have an opportunity to go use a 3D printer, I would highly, highly recommend it.
Now, I completely agree. Personally, I also love 3D printers. I always wanted to use one, and recently our school finally got one. So hopefully this year we'll start making our own creations on it during our digital design classes.
So
Now,
excited for you.
next question, ma'am. So, what is one sustainable practice or habit you would recommend for our students to adopt?
Oh, definitely a plant-based life. I am a vegan myself, which means that I follow a plant-based diet. And as you know, you will get into plant-based life, you will realize that it is so much more than just the food that goes onto your plate. You will start seeing life from a completely different perspective. It's about everything around you. It's for the animals, but it's also for your health. It's for the environment. You will start looking at clothes differently. You will start looking at cosmetics differently, your food differently, everything. So I don't know, just maybe give plant-based diet a try. Or maybe if it's not for you, maybe it's just about vegetarian, but give it a try and you will see miracles happen and a new perspectives will open for you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now to our rapid fire question, which Rehan will be asking.
Ma'am, this is more of a personal question. What is your favorite hangout spot in your university campus and why?
Oh, there is this beautiful oak tree on my campus, and it has to hands down be my best favorite spot ever because I don't know if you know about the legend of Robin Hood, but it goes like back in 12th century. Apparently, Robin Hood took coverage with his men under an oak tree in a forest in England. And one of our professors back in 1926, I believe, professor named Nelson Brown from our university, went to that forest and bought an acorn from that very own tree that Robin Hood took coverage under and planted it on our forest. And almost a century later is this beautiful, gigantic oak tree. And I just love napping down there, eating my food, just like being with my friends. It's a beautiful spot.
Thank you, ma'am, for such an eye-opening session. This is the end of the session.
Thank you, Rehan, and thank you, Arnav. Miss Lee, I loved hearing you talk, and thank you, everybody, for this opportunity, and
Likewise.
looking forward to the
Yeah.
next session.
It was amazing. It
Thank you
was
so much, ma'am.
amazing
It
hearing you
was
talk
a
too.
pleasure to.
I'm truly happy to be here about is that, taking on from Miss Abhinaya's conversation about how everything we do around us impacts the environment. I think that sense of being conscious and aware that every step we take, every move we make, literally, we are impacting the environment, even when we are sleeping, and of course, when we are awake. That is the kind of awareness that we need to move about what we are doing on an everyday basis.